It is great to be in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. This is Open Line Friday. Anything and everything you want to discuss. You want to talk about Donald Trump. You want to talk about President Biden. You want to talk about the Prime Minister. You want to talk about what happened last night. A terrible, terrible situation occurred last night. We're going to discuss that as well, if you're interested in that. Bahamians, we have all kinds of problems in this country. But there's a solution for these problems. We are not without hope. The answers are available to us. There are specific things you have to do. And I must say, the team, that is the team that I'm working with, was very successful in helping that particular family in solving a major family crisis. And all they're doing is smiling, and it's just like a big burden lifted off their shoulders. And all of them are quite happy. I saw them twice since the incident was resolved. They were very anxious. They were not sure what was going to happen. But things must be done decently and in order. Now, they're going to have tremendous benefits from that because that problem will never, ever come back to them again. Like I always say to the Bahamian people, there are specific benefits that come as a result of a major family problem, personal problem, constituency problem, national problem having been solved. You don't get that if there are no solutions to the problems. See, trying is not good enough, Bahamians. And I've heard all kind of talk on radio today about the inner city. And people just have such negative tones, full of negativity. We got to give these people hope. We got to give these people help. And so I am delighted to see that there are solutions to our problems. Clear-cut benefits come as a result of solutions being put in place. And I'm delighted to see that family is in high spirits after my team has been finished working with that, and that problem will never come up again. So they'll be rejoicing until Christ come back. Bahamians, that's what we want to see in the constituencies. That we want to see in our country. One major national problem. I asked you for 18 months. Do not deny Professor Sidney MacArthur Walter Thompson those 18 months. Because something can be done. We're in day number 9 now of the year 52, the 52nd year of our anniversary as an independent nation. We'll be starting the 52nd year. We're 9 days into the 52nd year. Let me make sure I say it right. We can solve these problems. Now, of course, last night 4 murders. 4. We got to help the police force. There are those who say the police has some things happening to them, and they use some other terminology, which I don't want to even mention on the show. Police officers are just like you and me, but they have a different function to perform than what I have to perform. And some of us may not be able to stand up to what police officers have to go through every single day of their lives. They have a lot of work to do. We got to pray for them, Bahamians. We got to help the police. They need all the help we can get. And one way you can help the police is to obey the law. Then you don't have to worry about all of these strange things happening. Do you know it's unconstitutional to commit murder? Maybe you haven't been told that. It's contrary to the Constitution of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas to commit murder. Cruel and inhumane treatment. That's what that is. And that's not to be done to any person. No person shall suffer inhumane and cruel treatment. So murder is out. And those who are in that category of doing such things, you need to stop. Because sooner or later, retaliatory action is going to happen. Because people who lack faith in the judiciary, and of course the judiciary have to pull up their socks, because sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily. That's right from the Holy Bible. You have to have quick, speedy execution of justice. It cannot be delayed, justices, for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. People don't forget. Memories fade. And so many things are happening to people today, they quickly forget. But Bahamians, you have to help that brother, that sister who has reached the crossroad. You know, I keep talking about the crossroad. Let me explain that a little bit clearer for you today on day number 9 of our 52nd year as an independent nation. Brothers and sisters meet their crossroads, and then I hear these nice things that the members of the family will say about them. And I said, if we could take appropriate action that is essential and necessary to help them, they may not even ask for the help. Some of them get a little proud and think they need to ask nobody. But the book tells me, ask and you will receive. Seek and you will find. Knock and it shall be opened unto you. And I can tell you, I can ask you all plenty of that. So you're going to see Professor Sidney MacArthur, Walter Thompson, always going to ask you. He's going to always be seeking. He's going to always be knocking, because we got one major national problem to solve. And that's plenty of work to do in the next 18 months. So ain't going to be no letting up by me, because you had asked, Professor, what is it we can do? But I ain't leaving no stones unturned. Now, I can tell you in 18 months we can solve every problem. Let me make that very clear. Just one. One major national problem. That one can get solved. I've been talking to some people already. We're working on that one. And that one can get fixed. Because when that one is fixed, then there are some things that will just tumble right to the ground. You ain't got to worry about them no more. But you have to understand what is happening in your country. Some terrible things are happening in this place. We cannot continue to allow these things to keep on going on and on and on. And people talk about the inner cities, particularly where the majority of the people live. We need to help these people in the inner cities to live a better way of life. And that particular family is living in an environment, and I visited the environment, and from reports that I've been getting, not too much love and affection exist. There are some serious problems. And Bahamians, we have to help our weaker brothers and sisters who meet these crossroads, and they don't know what to do. They don't know where to turn. Do not leave a brother or sister stranded, and you are in a position to help and assist that brother or sister. The police have their hands full. They have to investigate 4 more murders. And I think the number is now almost 69, I think it is. 69, almost 70. And Bahamians, this is July the 19th. This is very, very serious. We have to find a way. We must have the police now. I ain't going against the police. The police are supposed to be protecting me. I think we're going to have to protect the police. We as citizens of the Commonwealth of Bahamas must protect the police. Who's going to protect the police? You and me have to protect the police. Then the police in turn have their job to do. If we obey the law of the land, a lot of these problems will just disappear. The police don't have to be running up and down, blowing sirens and trying to catch this one, trying to catch that one. You are not to participate. in harboring persons who do not belong here. Why are you doing that? And then people are complaining how many in the inner city. I see them all the time. I know what a Bahamian looks like. I know what a Bahamian is. And too many of them are not Bahamians. And some of you say we're already outnumbered. But exercise caution and restraint. We're not looking to God to solve our problems, you know. The Holy Bible is right there. And the Constitution says we are a nation under God. Are we seeking God's advice? This marijuana thing that the government has passed, all these compendium of bills. Did we seek what the Bible says about marijuana or the use of marijuana? I hear nobody talk about that. You start all the way back in the book of Genesis, chapter 1. And you will see where God says, I have given every green herb for meat. That's meat is food. That's what I read in my Bible. You think God changed that? He ain't changed nothing. It was done on day when the plants were created, right on up to now, same principle. Have we found out what good use the marijuana plant could be put to? It is good for food. That's what the Bible tells me. Could we have marijuana tea? Well, I had some bush tea. Fever grass tea. Very nice. I love it. I got to worry about buying them other imported teas. Fever grass tea go right in the yard. And you just wash it off and fix it and put it in and boil it. You're straight. We have things growing right in our yard, Bahamians, what we can use to improve our health and to stay sane. I can't read a bunch of crap now. Some of you listen to all kind of funny things from people who put things on the internet and tell you this and tell you that and tell you the next thing. What is the basis of it? Is it biblically sound? Is it constitutionally sound? Those are the two questions you need to keep asking. When the government makes a law, is it constitutionally sound? Yes or no? When the government sign all these agreements, and the Prime Minister is away now, I think something has happened and he's supposed to be going to the United States. I didn't quite get what exactly happened. If any of you who heard more than what I heard, please bring it to the attention of my attention, because I'd like to discuss a little bit more. But I heard some things that he's going to the United States. And he went to England, or is in England, dealing with the Grand Bahama Port Authority, what the Attorney General is entangled in. Grand Bahama say they don't owe nothing. So it remains to be seen what happens. So while he's out there, say he's traveling, the murder rate continues to climb in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, predominantly on the island of New Providence. It has spread also to the family islands as well. You don't know when a murder is going to happen. You just don't know when. Because we're not taking the time to discipline our people, to teach them how to behave Bahamians. We are an undisciplined people. We don't even know how to turn the corner. To stay over to your left side, Bahamians, not to the right. When I was coming here, the fellows swing all the way over to the right instead of staying over to the left. Bad driving. And so people are very undisciplined on the road. We got to talk about that, Bahamians. The way how people drive on our streets, how they run the red lights. When the lights say green, you go. When the lights say red, you stop. That's a simple process. But we don't seem to know how to do that. Now, of course, we have a lot of strangers in our country. Now, that is a major national problem. We have to fix that one. What's holding up with the government of the Bahamas? And then people applying for nationalization. Say they want to be citizens. Let me make this very clear. The Constitution of the Commonwealth of Bahamas does not support naturalization of citizens. That was for a limited period of time, only for British subjects who were in the Bahamas, and it didn't even extend beyond to their family. It was them and them alone, where they had 1 year up to July of 1974 to make a decision. Then the door shut. But now people say they're not applying to be naturalized in the Bahamas. This is utter nonsense and foolishness. You can't give no other nationality naturalization unless there was a referendum, and there has not been any to my knowledge, that will allow the government of the Bahamas to grant naturalization certification to persons who may qualify. But all of those who are applying now and have applied after, and who were not subjects of the United Kingdom and colonies, when that door shut, that's it. Now, if you want to carry it on, you have to do a referendum. None was done. So you got all these people say they want to be citizens from a particular country and some other countries as well. Are we going to loading up this place with strangers, foreigners, aliens, outsiders, and all you can do is sit down and do nothing about it? The beauty of the Constitution is you can do something about it. That's why I throw out the challenge to you. Because Bahamians, we have to do something. And we know what we can do. And it is constitutionally sound. So you don't have to be misled. You don't have to be deceived. You don't have to be overly concerned. See, if you trust in God, God says he will cause your enemies to be at peace with you. And what God sometimes is just move them out of the way. So there ain't going to be no more problem to you. So you can get on with the business of building your nation. And this has happened time after time after time again. We do not have God in our decision making in this country at the national level. It isn't there. I believe we have a caller on the line. Caller, you live on air. Go ahead, please.
Hey, Professor, good afternoon.
Hey,
and good afternoon to your guest. Good afternoon, Bahamas. Professor, guess what? I can try to leave my number with you so I can get involved. Because, Professor, listen to me. Professor,
don't forget. Hold on. Don't forget, leave it with the producer when you finish, okay?
Okay.
Yeah,
Because, Professor, listen here. They leave on and go bother with the dangerous drugs, to go grab the dangerous drugs to legalize it for us to smoke. And we got immigration problems. We got all kind of problems. They ain't bothering with that. So
okay. Let me just put a thought to your head then, because I made it. I don't know if you heard it. I said it.
Yeah, I heard you.
You heard me what I said.
Mm-hmm.
What's your comment on that? Is marijuana a green herb?
Come back to the office. Wait a minute.
Are you listening to me?
I listen to you. And that
okay.
Was no, you put up. You in Genesis chapter. I can use that.
Yeah, but no, it says, God says this now. God don't change when he say these kind of things.
No.
I have given every green herb for meat. Now meat is food.
Thank you.
That's what the man tells me.
And Professor, guess what?
So you mean to tell me I can't have some marijuana tea?
You got some tea. Yes, you drink it.
But I get fever grass tea. Could I get some marijuana tea?
Yes, you can have it. It's good for you.
Okay, all right.
But
that's what the man tells me.
But Professor, listen here. I mean, this generation walks right down. You can tell me what the snake tells Eve. You can tell me, oh yeah, don't listen to what God says. Thou should not pick up the tree. The tree.
That's what he said.
You can say the same thing the snake say. Come on, my brothers and sisters. But Professor, I can sign up with you. But listen, Colossians chapter 1:8. He said, listen here. I am not the God of confusion.
Yes, he's
Anytime
not.
you confuse and deep confused,
yes,
you know what side you're playing for.
That's true.
So,
yeah,
Professor,
that's the devil.
I can stand up with you because see what we can do. But listen here, if you can legalize marijuana, go ahead and legalize marijuana. Don't tell me what the snake tell you. Come on, man. Come on.
Okay.
Do find something better than that. Go on, Professor.
No, don't forget, leave your number, name and number with my producer. He's right here. Make sure I'll give it to him.
All right.
Give it to him right now while you're on the line. Thank you very much, caller. No, God says, I have given every green herb for meat. Now meat is food. Now I drink some fever grass tea. Could I drink some marijuana tea? I got my guess here right now. Dwayne Hyler.
Good day, Professor.
And thank you very much for coming. Now, there's a whole range of topics that have occurred. I mean, the murders, four murders last night. The police are very busy. I told the people we got to protect the police now. The police has a very difficult job to do because of violation of law.
Definitely.
That's the whole nuts and bolts of it.
Definitely.
We need the police officers to move forward. Mr. Bruce, we have someone else on the line? Yeah, all right. I just wanted to be sure.
Actually, Professor,
Yeah, go ahead.
and good day, Bahamas. Good
Yeah.
day, everyone out there. Actually, some breaking news coming into the studio here.
Okay.
Even as I came in, and the producer here saying, I'm looking at it now. On News Bahamas is reporting that Prime Minister Davis is expected to undergo medical treatment for sciatica.
I
So-
thought I heard something like that, but I wasn't
Yes.
quite sure what that means. What is sciatica?
Yes,
What
the
is it?
sciatic nerve. It's basically a nervous system issue, and it's anything dealing with the spinal cord and
Oh,
down
wow.
at the base of the spinal cord. It's serious. But then he's going to the U.S.
Yeah.
Is what I'm reading here.
Yeah.
He's
that's-
traveling to the United States where he will undergo treatment to address the compression of the sciatic nerve.
Wow.
And the
Okay.
Deputy Prime Minister will serve as acting Prime Minister in his absence.
Yes, I
So-
heard that. Yeah.
Yeah, well, the scripture says to pray for all leaders. So
You have
that's,
to pray for the leader.
that's
Yeah.
state leaders and church leaders.
That is true. Yeah.
Our prayers go out to the family
Yes.
of the Prime Minister, even as
Yes.
he goes through that situation. Any health issue is very serious, as we all know.
It's very, very serious. Yeah. Is he
Yes.
is he in the United States or he has not gone there yet?
I believe he's in the United Kingdom, but apparently
Yeah.
he experienced some difficulty.
Uh-huh.
And like almost like a pinched nerve. So that's
Oh, a pinched
shocking.
nerve, yeah.
That shocking sensation.
Okay.
So I didn't read anything else in that notice,
Uh-huh.
but we would expect that he would travel from the UK directly into the
United
US.
States. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's what it seems like.
That's
this time.
yeah, because when I first heard it, I
Mhm.
wasn't quite sure. But I said if anyone had any information, I
Mhm.
mentioned to the audience to please call into the show so I could get an update on it. And I'm glad you brought that update
Mhm.
in because so many things are happening, Bahamians. We have to
Definitely.
pray for our prime minister and the other leaders in the country, even though they have done some things that are not in our best interest. But it is still our duty to pray for them.
Mhm.
See, God can deal with them, But we have a job to do. That's why I am saying to the public today, with the 4 murders that occurred last night, 4. Where are we going with this? What has happened to us as a people? Why are we having so many murders in this country? And you never know when they can break out. But Hyla,
Well, I agree. I mean, it's really sad.
It is very sad.
Regardless of who the young men were,
and I
what they
understand
did.
one is related to Maurice Tanks,
Okay.
the former gentleman in the House of Assembly,
Mhm.
chief clerk, I believe he was.
Yes.
And he was killed. I when I heard that, I was shaken right up.
Yeah, it's really. I mean, it's really sad. I mean, and it's nonstop. It's on the increase. Any loss of life once again is very serious. So
No, it's very, very serious.
when a life is cut short, you don't have a chance to do anything. That's the end of life on this side.
That's right.
Of glory. So
yeah.
we've even heard of situations where young men were changing their lives. So you don't know what somebody is experiencing.
That is true. Yeah.
You don't know what's going on.
Yes.
And to the families of all the murder victims, this year and in years past, it's just unfortunate that they were not able to live out to the fullness of their potential.
Good. That
Yeah.
I'm glad you said that, Brother Hyland. Now, I just wanted to mention something that I had said previously because I want people to get it. because there are people that reach this crossroad. Okay, we had a family that my team was dealing with, and they reached a crossroad, and they are happy about what happened. That problem that they were experiencing will no longer plague them for the rest of their natural lives. That one is locked in, and they'll never have to go through that kind of problem again.
Mhm.
So they could rejoice, and they're happy. I saw them twice yesterday.
Mm.
And you should see the mother and the daughter. Man, they laughing and carrying on, like nothing ever happened. But this is what happens with people when you deal with solutions, man. And I want to see the same thing happen solutions. See, now I got to stop the man. Tell me I got to shut up because he's playing the music. This is Professor Sidney MacArthur Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network. I have my guest, and he's here today with some. This is an open line today now. Callers call in and express yourself on anything. But I invited him and my other friend to come. He should be here shortly. So we'll have three of us around the table discussing what you are going to be talking about today. We'll be back after the break.
Two six zero two seven one or 3260272. WhatsApp us your concerns on 809-2310. Follow us live on Facebook and Global Radio 99.5FM.com. Express yourself.
Bahamians, all kind of breaking news is occurring now. And Bahamians, we got some real problems. See, this is why I say to you, you got to give me my 18 months. Because I want to do something to help the Bahamian people. Now, I can't do it by myself. Now, someone asked whether the help that was done by my team was constitutional. Yes, it was. It always must be in accordance with the Constitution. I don't get involved in nothing that's not constitutionally sound. And I advise my team, we must always be constitutionally sound when it comes to dealing with the Bahamian people. So that family is rejoicing. I want to see the same thing happen in every single constituency. And let me make this clear before I let Brother Hyler come back, because he has some breaking news to give us. Oh, we have a caller. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Producer. Let me stop right there. Caller, you live on there. Let me get you in so you could get your point across. Go ahead. Hi, how are you?
Pretty man.
Yeah, okay.
Listen,
Yes.
I noticed something is going on in Eleuthera and Abaco. Somebody was whispering in my ears, telling me now
Uh-huh.
what is going on to some of the foreigners is they are mating with the Bahamian young girls them.
Okay.
So they are putting their seed there now, so they will still have something that they could go on when our young Bahamian woman bring forward these children and stuff like that.
Okay.
You understand me?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And I see that is they keep coming through the back door.
Okay.
Now, my other point is, I hear a lot of people talking about this marijuana thing.
Yes.
Well, would you go into the store and buy poison and put inside your fruit for your children them to eat?
No. But I know, I went all the way back to Genesis. And I'm asking, is the marijuana a green herb? If that is true, God says, I have given every green herb for meat. Now I drink fever grass tea. I'm asking myself, can I have some marijuana tea?
Exactly.
Well, I looking at what the Bible tells me.
Now,
But we got to use these things wisely. I like fever grass tea. It's a nice tea. It grow wild in the yard. So I ain't got to buy them other funny things what they selling in the shop. And the fever grass tea tastes good. I love it. But I want to know now if they'll allow me to have some marijuana tea. Because the man told me it is good for food. I have given every green herb for food, for meat. That's what I read in my Bible.
That's the way.
And God ain't changing that for nobody.
No, sir. That won't change for nobody.
Exactly.
Now, it all depends what you're using it for.
Exactly.
Some people using it to do for other things, but you could use it to make your tea with it and other things. That is good for, everything that, if you have ailment or stuff like that.
Yes.
And you say everything I made was good.
Yes, that's what he said. And then when he looked at every single thing he did over 6 days, he said, God saw everything that it made, and it was very good.
Right.
The marijuana plant is very good.
Yes. Yes.
That's what my Bible tells me.
When it gets straight, I got to buy my tea.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I like fever grass tea, but I wonder if I could get some marijuana tea. They ain't put that in the act.
Yeah. And my last point
yes,
is, people talking about this, the homosexual and the gay and things like that.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Uh-huh.
They must be forget the big red boat would come and be in downtown, and these two men, them coming off the ship with the little black children, them say that's their adopted child and stuff like that.
Oh, for crying out loud. They got to speak to that today.
We could forget.
Yeah, we forget quickly,
you see, America will test any country that they see they could run over it.
Yes, they would.
And when you don't accept the people who they send here, what they do, they punish you. You see? So we got them here, and all they have people have to do, once you ain't getting involved and you standing up for the principle, you stand up for your principle, and when you know the truth will set you free.
That's what the man tells me.
That's what the man say.
Yes, he said that.
And if Donald Trump could be all on the news yesterday saying, God is with him, he sound like a preacher. I mean, he was all over the place last night when he had his speech last night.
Oh, I listened to it, yes. 90 minutes.
I listened to it. He got all what the man named
He had Billy Graham's son there too.
Grams. Oh, that's
Yes.
that's his favorite. He gave him his speech. Tell Donald Trump now, listen, don't say nothing of the way. Don't use no foul language. Just stick with this. Stick with
Yes.
You see, but anyway, that's American policy. That's up to
Yes.
them.
Yeah.
But thanks, eh?
Yeah. Thank you very much for calling. I appreciate the call.
All right.
Brother Hyla, I got to let you get on with your breaking news. I'll make some comments later. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, Professor, this is actually related to a Tribune newspaper article, and it's actually the headline
Yes.
in today's paper. It says stalled, and it's referring to the U.S. State Department in a newly released report criticizing the Bahamas over delaying to enact laws to help fight corruption.
Okay.
So what is the significance? Right here on this, to be specific, right here on this show,
Yes.
we have been calling for the creation of the Integrity Commission, which would come about by the fully enacted Integrity Act.
Okay.
So just to read a bit of it, the U.S. has accused the government, meaning the Bahamian government, of
Yes.
stalling the full enactment of anti-corruption laws that would accelerate improved transparency and accountability in Bahamian governance.
Okay.
The U.S. State Department, in its just released 2024 Investment Climate Report on the Bahamas, cited campaign finance reforms, talking about
Okay.
election campaign
Yeah.
finance reforms,
We ain't got none of that.
okay, and the creation of an integrity commission
Commission. Yeah.
as two initiatives that have been delayed to leave this nation exposed to the threat of corruption and undue foreign influence in policy making decisions.
Okay.
So what I'm excited about is that this show, Express Yourself. Well, thank you once again, Professor. You've called upon me to express myself.
Yes, sir.
In a sort of at least once a week.
Yes.
You asked me to come in and say a few words.
Yes.
So here it is: the Freedom of Information Act and the Integrity Act are two of the keys. And in this report, this U.S. State Department added election campaign finance
Yes.
legislation.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is that the Bahamian people understand that you're talking about an independent authority specifically established to seek out corruption,
Yes.
to make sure that there's integrity in government. And what we have done is to partially, if the public could understand, it's the laws have been partially enacted. In other words,
Okay.
they would put an act together
Uh-huh.
without the clauses necessary that they know are necessary for the law to have full effect, with
Okay.
power to investigate, power
Right.
to subpoena,
Yes.
the actual establishment of a commission,
Okay.
the establishment of a chair or a head for that commission
Right.
that would be totally autonomous, not to be influenced
By the government.
by the government.
Right.
They're afraid of that. Apparently,
Oh, okay. Apparently.
apparently they don't want that
They don't want that.
for whatever reason.
Okay.
Now they like to say don't cast no aspersions.
Yes.
That's their parliamentary language.
But then you have to watch what they're doing. You have to speak what they have done so far.
Okay then.
And what does that tell you? See, actions speak louder than words.
Right. And sometimes we even have confusing language because
Confusing language.
in relation to, let's say, the Freedom of Information Act,
Yes.
we had the chairman of the Progressive Liberal Party once again state that we're not interested in the Freedom of Information Act at this time.
At this time. Yes.
Now, when reporters pressed him on it, Prime Minister Philip Brave Davis came behind and say, well, we are interested in that. Words.
Yes.
We are interested in the Freedom of Information Act,
Uh-huh.
but we don't have the full version. And here it is. The reporters went back to Mr. Mitchell, and he backpedaled. He said that he was I don't want to misquote him, but he stated, generally speaking, that he was either misquoted or taken out of context. But it was really plain when he said it.
Yes, it
So
was.
he probably misspoke. That's what seems
No,
to
we
have
ain't gonna
happened.
say he misspoke. We got to say what he said.
Well, he said they're not interested at this time.
Well, then that's what it is.
Well, why?
So
why?
what's so difficult about that?
Why don't you want even a certain? I got to be careful on calling names now. A certain person in Parliament
Uh-huh.
was just recently pressed for information on a certain contractor,
Okay.
and he
Yeah.
would not give the information.
Okay.
Now, the person doing the pressing, I believe, was the St. Anne's member of Parliament.
Yes.
He asked the question of
Yes.
the side opposite.
Okay.
Why don't you want us to know who this person is
Yes.
that you all gave this contract to?
Mm-hmm.
So we just have a lot of contract procurement issues where you don't know where the money going, who it going to,
Yes.
and you have to, and unless some criminal investigation is opened up, then you take a closer look. And
Okay.
we have situations like that right now
Okay.
where governing officials are being pressed. But why should another nation, why should America from the outside
Right.
have to write a report, a critique?
A critique.
And notice this is on Bahamian investment.
Yes.
If we get this right, investment will skyrocket.
Okay.
The public believes that our present government is doing a good thing because they go on these trade missions, coming up with one or two deals, and we're excited about that. No, a Bahamas with integrity will have an ocean of companies flooding in
Yes.
if they know that they are protected from what is called political interference. Some call it business interference. That's when political figures interfere
Wish.
with the business of individuals coming into the country or foreign
Okay.
investors.
All right. Fair enough.
Let them sign up, let the lawyers talk to one another, give them their documents, and let them go their way.
Yes.
You don't have to have tea with them.
Okay.
You don't have to invite them to your restaurant to sit down and find out all their business.
Yes.
You're too close
Too close.
and
Yeah, you're
up
quite
in
right.
the people business.
Yes.
That is chasing them away.
Okay.
So there's something called political interference, and it is stated to be high in the Bahamas.
Okay.
You don't just come here to do business just like that. But it's hurting our potential.
Our potential.
And,
yes.
and just to keep it simple, the U.S. government, again, I don't feel like it should have had to come from the outside, but we on this show have been calling for an integrity act.
Yes.
We've been calling for, that's the law, and the commission is the actual group of persons
Right.
charged with
With the
seeking
responsibility.
the responsibility of seeking out whether or not all transactions, all contracts, all government business is being handled with integrity and
Yes.
transparency.
I think that would be a good thing for the country.
Well, apparently, both parties, both sides of government in the Bahamas that we have entrusted with the leadership of this country, both of them are suppressing the laws required to keep them in check.
Okay.
See, with an integrity commission, you don't need the police to decide whether or not they can investigate themselves.
I understand. Okay.
You don't need the police to think about or consider whether they're going to allow Scotland Yard to come in and investigate whether it's one individual
Or a group of individuals.
or a group of individuals.
Yes. Okay.
If you ask me, investigate them all
Yes.
from the top to the bottom while
Top
you're
to
at it.
bottom. While you're at it. Yes.
So with an integrity commission, you don't have to ask permission.
Oh, I get you now. Okay.
See,
All right.
see, that's an independent authority.
Yes.
They can make the decision.
Yes.
They can call for independent investigation, whether it be the FBI or Interpol,
Yes.
MI6.
I think that would be good for the
You know,
country.
MI5 is national police in the UK. MI6 is international.
Yes.
So that's who they would dispatch if we were to call on them.
Right.
They would come in no time.
So as it
yeah.
stands right now, it's like the police.
Mhm.
that are the ones who would make a determination as to whether there'll be an investigation or not,
Right.
even if it involves them.
Even if it involves them.
They're coming on home.
So they're squaddies or whatnot. Some are in the Special Investigations Bureau. So they do have a department in our police that is designated to investigate the police. But the question is whether or not that whole process.
But does that make any sense? Because they themselves might have to be investigated. Then what?
Well,
Who investigates them?
you always have the perfect questions, Professor. Who investigates them? Can the police investigate themselves? Now, our news, the reporters from our news,
Yes.
we have some, a lot of world-class reporters. It's just that when things get extra sensitive,
Yes.
they get a lot of pushback, like sit small, but what I'm saying is they recently called out Minister Wayne Monroe
Yes.
on what they claim. They are alleging that he has changed his tone
Yes.
since coming into this
Coming into this
administration.
Yes. Okay.
So now he's expressing full confidence
In the
in the police to investigate themselves.
But he wasn't saying that before.
No, they have the tape and the video. Nobody impersonate him. There's no deep fake, no AI. Just the man himself expressing
Yes.
that he had doubts that the police can investigate themselves.
Right.
He expressed concerns
Yes.
when he was not the authority.
Right.
But now that he is the authority, his tone
Has changed.
it appears to have changed. And this is what the media has highlighted.
Yes.
And again, it speaks to party lines, party thinking. And you've been warning us
I want to be
over and over again.
over again. So
Parliamentary representation
that's
is what you want.
important.
When you send your person to parliament, let them go with their convictions, and the same convictions they go in there with, let them hold on to their convictions,
Yes.
stand up for the people, speak what those convictions are, regardless of what the prime minister thinks. Hold your own view. That is what you were sent for, to
Yes.
represent that constituency,
That is
not to
correct.
represent a party.
That's correct. Yeah.
But
now,
they change it over to representing a party.
Mr. Halley, you are 100% correct. And this is what's causing the problem. People are failing to realize
Mhm.
party representation is one thing. Just like you would go to St. Barnabas Church, but you also work to BTC. BTC don't ask you what church you go to.
No.
Neither do you ask those other people who work to BTC what church they go to. You got people in St. Barnabas Church who work different places.
Right.
All of them don't work for BTC, but they're still members of St. Barnabas Church, but they are also members of those particular groupings where they work.
Mhm.
Same thing applies to political party. You may be a member of a political party,
Mhm.
but you are sent to the House of Assembly to represent that particular constituency
Mhm.
and the views of that particular constituency, not your personal views.
Right.
Because all of them to stand up and say, I represent the people of this particular constituency, and they'd be talking their own thing.
Right.
They
right.
never had any consultation with the people of the particular constituency to get what it is. Because I ain't talked to my representative yet since got elected.
Mhm.
I
Okay.
ain't see him,
All right.
but I can deal with that with him. But the point is, these fellas are getting up and saying they represent the constituency, which they ought to do, but they are not consulting with their constituents.
Mhm.
Because I hear from mine from the time he was elected.
Well, you know what seems to have happened, Professor.
Yes, sir.
In my view, the present leaders have taken over the system, as it were,
Yes,
but continued the same practices as those that oppressed the people before.
that's correct. That is 100% correct.
They've continued the same
exactly-
practice.
That is exactly what is happening. And that's why I am saying to the people, and that's why I want to get the people to understand. We're in year 52. And I'm saying to them, what the Bible says, Proverbs 29:2, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. When the wicked bear rule, the people mourn. Now you got two opposites right there.
Right.
Righteousness and wickedness.
Right.
What will happen if righteous people are in charge? The Bible says the people will rejoice. You see any rejoicing in these constituencies?
No.
Where's the rejoicing in Fox Hill? Where's the rejoicing in Centerville? Where's the happiness in Bain and Grantstown? All you see is a bunch of poor, struggling people. And I'm saying to them, by the authority of Scripture and by the authority of the Constitution, let me quote the Constitution, Article 24:1, Article 1, Article 2, Article 52:1. I could quote some more. I can stop right there. Because I don't want nobody talking no foolishness in my ears. The people in the constituency must help to find righteous people.
That's right.
If you don't have no righteous people in that constituency going straight down the drain. 51% or more, and I'm going to stress this, because this is the only way it can happen. 51% or more of the people in a given constituency must become righteous, become righteous in their actions one to another. Then that constituency is headed for progress. Now, in too many of these constituencies, I can let you get in there. Let me make this point. In too many of these constituencies, people get into people's personal affairs. I see it right in my own constituency when I'm coming to work. Boy, these people could carry on stink. And we got major constituency problems.
Definitely.
In that particular constituency. But they get into people's private, personal affairs. Listen, I got more than 51 years experience in dealing with Bahamian people. Okay? And I never get into their personal, private affairs, even with my own family members. I stay out of that.
Okay.
I don't get involved in them kind of things because people kind of a little funny. What I am saying is the constituency has multiplicity of problems. And I'm saying give Professor 18 months, one major constituency problem to be solved with the help of the people. The Bible supports it, Proverbs 29:2, the Constitution supports it. We're going to use all available resources which belong to the Bahamian people. We have the constitutional authority to do it. And we have the biblical authority to do it. There ain't nothing stopping you. All you have to do is pull up your socks and get together. Faith without works is dead. And that's what people need to understand. Here we are in day number 9 in the year 52. That means we can't throw away no more time. We can't throw away 1 second.
No.
Because we're running out of time, Bahamians. We have to get cracking. We got to get moving. And don't deny Professor Thompson that 18 months, because I'm looking for that. I'm working on that. And I'm going to push for it. And with your cooperation, I'm trying to get you to cooperate, Bahamians. We can't keep sitting down and letting this country break up, crack up. You want it to be like Sudan? You want it to be like how it is in people to the south of us. They know who they are. And those people in the Middle East. You're going to wait until it gets all broke up, all crack up. You can't go here, you can't go there and have all these. Well, we had 4 killings last night. What's behind all of that? Now, I can let the police investigate that. Now, who's going to protect the police as they go about their investigations? Are we cooperating with the police by giving them the correct information so they will be able to do their investigations? I'm very much concerned about them now because these men's lives are on the line. They don't know what they're going to walk into on a given day. So we have to help them. They got their weaknesses. They got their shortcomings. You know, sometimes I had to say some things about them. But that's just the way it is. We have to help the police force with their investigation. But the best thing you can do to help the police is to obey the law. Keep the law, Bahamians. Live by the Constitution. Then the police can have time to do some other things. which they never had time to do in 51 years. Go ahead, Brother Hyler.
You know, I was actually about to change the subject, Professor,
Yes, sir.
because when you mentioned 51, uh, my mind sort of transported back in time
Yes.
to where, God afforded me the opportunity to stand on the national debate stage
Yes.
at the University of the Bahamas in the last general election.
Yes.
And, you know, I was the person addressing COVID,
Okay.
one of the only doctors that was not on the stage. But just to be specific, 51% is how effective, uh, if you're talking about dealing with COVID-19 and you are trying to control it,
Yes.
your vaccine must be 51% effective
Okay. All right. Okay.
or better.
Or better.
50, 70. The short of it is that vaccine that we took from AstraZeneca here in the Bahamas,
Yes.
while I stood on that debate stage, I was trying to communicate, and I don't think I did a strong enough job. They tell me I did very well. That vaccine was about 12 to 15% effective.
I hear the music. The man tell me I'm shutting my mouth up.
Yeah.
Okay. This is Professor Sidney MacArthur Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network. This is Open Line, Bahamians. You could call in and talk about anything you want to talk about. They got to talk about Biden. They got to talk about Trump. They ain't reached that far yet. This is Professor Sidney MacArthur Walter Thompson. We'll be back after the break.
From Cable Beach to Montague, it's your chance to join the discussion of today's issue. Let your voice be heard. Speak your mind and express yourself. Call in and participate at 326-0271 or 326-0272. WhatsApp us your concerns on 809-2310. Follow us live on Facebook and globalradio99.5fm.com. Express yourself.
This is Professor Sidney MacArthur Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network 99.5 FM. This is a great day in the country to be in the Commonwealth of Bahamas. I have two guests in here today. They have a roundtable discussion on all kinds of things. And you can call in Bahamians. This is Open Line Friday. Discuss anything you want. You want to talk about Donald Trump? Let's talk about Donald Trump. You want to talk about Biden? Let's talk about Biden. You want to talk about the Prime Minister? Let's talk about the Prime Minister. These are public figures. And the Minister of Health said some things that are not Bahamian. He said the minister needs to know there's some other things that are not Bahamian, because he was concerned about the fact that people are leaving their relatives, their elderly relatives, in the hospital. That is not Bahamian. And I agree with him. He said the right thing. So you got to go and get your relatives out of the hospital, Bahamians. Don't leave your mother and your father there. Why you all get like this? I'm ashamed of you when you do things like that. You got to take care of mommy and daddy. You all get like this. You're no real Bahamian if you behave like that, you know. There's some things Bahamians ought not to do. It is not a part of our makeup. It's not a part of our culture. Let me stop right there. I got Brother Cartwright in here and Brother Highland here. I know they want to say plenty of things. Brother Cartwright, let's go.
Yes, Professor, Mr. Hyler, producer, and the Bahamas at large. I'm glad that the Minister of Health spoke about it, because a couple of weeks ago, me and him had the same conversation.
Yes.
And he said how people are now, Bahamians are now dropping their senior family members off at the hospital.
Yes.
And for them to be checked up, and once they get checked up, they never go back to pick them up.
That's what he said, yes.
And the government, which is us, pays to keep those people alive.
That's right.
And I take it very, very, as a Bahamian, very, very insulting, because I knew I took care of my parents until they closed their eyes.
Of course.
And, you know, the Bible talks about these things.
Yes, it
You
does.
get a blessing.
Yes, you
And
do.
so when I heard that, I was glad, and I said, you now talk about it now, put some things in action to deal with it.
Exactly.
Now, one of my pet peeves I've always had was that we've been living, no fault of ours, in a hurricane zone.
Yes.
And after I saw what went down with Dorian and COVID,
Yes.
I had mentioned to a few friends of mine in the former administration, why not create a national disaster fund?
Okay.
And they're like, well, what that is? I said, well, okay, since it's my idea, I don't mind if you all get credit for it, but I would share it. I think that it's high time that we set aside a fund, because many Bahamians, when we have a national disaster comes, it takes them almost 5 to 10 years to fully recover, whether it's financially, whatever. But in the financial side of it, it takes the average Bahamian roughly 5 to almost 15 years to financially recover.
It's a long time.
So I'm saying this, why not, when we have a hurricane, put that money into a separate fund
Yes.
in a local bank, which is a Bahamian bank,
Right.
and basically whatever islands that are touched by a hurricane, you can then make your assessments, and then you can pay out for those heavily affected.
That's
Now,
correct.
those who got minor little touches, you can break it down and give them a little stipend.
Yes.
And those who did not get nothing, happen to their homes, you get nothing.
Yes.
But if the hurricane comes, the money sits and turn over. So where you get some interest, whether it's a credit union or whatever, the money turns over.
Turns over, yes.
And so every year you make a little donation. So which one of the things I was happy when they started to talk about the sovereign wealth fund, I said,
Yes.
but that would be a good thing you
That
could
would have been a
use
good thing. Yes,
You could
of
put-
course.
and put it aside. And
Yes.
they said, then you can now set up other funds, branch off of that.
For that, yes.
And so you would now have your country, as you go along the way, you see, you have something, so when something happens, you don't have to be scrambling around or borrowing money.
Borrowing money.
You will
yes.
have these things set
set in
In
place.
place.
Yes, correct.
Also, I was speaking with some family members of mine down in the Turks, and they're like, what do you guys get during COVID? I was like, boy, I don't know. He's laughing. He said, tell me. He said, when we was in Turks, what we got? I said, what? He said, we got 1,500 a month. I
You
said,
could work with that.
I said, you all got 15. He said, yeah, but we were shut down. And then the government, what they did was they brought the price, the money down as COVID stops to subside.
Right.
So I said, okay, but what how y'all do these things? He said, well, we have a sovereign wealth fund,
Yes.
but it isn't managed by the government. It's managed by a private entity.
Okay.
And he says, even with our structure, he said, one of the things that I admire is about, he said, we watch how you guys do things in the Bahamas. So we took a piece of the good things y'all did and we just implemented.
Yes.
So I was like, how is it that everyone can take something from us and implement it? So I started thinking, I said, we a country now is a big melting pot. No fault of our own.
Yes.
But I've seen whereby that we now, and like I talked to Dr. Davel at one time, and I've spoken with the Minister of Immigration at one time, and I say, these programs you all have in place were not set for us to take care of others.
That's right.
And now that these people are here, it is a burden on the organic behemoth.
That's correct.
And I said, I don't blame them, I say blame us. Because you know why? Any other country you go in, and you're not an organic citizen of the country, you know what they make you do? They make you pay.
Yes.
So if you come into any other country, I just had a family member who had a daughter went off to have a child. And child was born in the US, and so she was happy and gleeful until they sent her the bill. And they told her, said, no. The child is covered up until when he gets 18. He's an automatic American citizen.
Right.
You're not a citizen. So
That's right.
That's your child, you have to pay.
Right.
And so I started saying, and I said, hold on. The Minister of Foreign Affairs said it in the last Christie administration. They were talking about ID cards.
Right.
And I dialogue with a lot of friends. I got to know through the ambassador from Ghana, Mr. Andrew Wilson. He gave me a few people in Africa to dialogue with, so when I'm prepared to go, I would have some place. Some people, I know people, they could show me around.
Right. Yeah. Good.
And I noticed that when I started talking, they all said to me, say, you guys have an ID card. I said, no, what do you mean? He said, ID card, man. I said, like, what are you talking about? He said, in Nigeria, we have an ID card which has our passport picture and number in it. So I said, Mr. Mitchell, he was on to something, but I don't think he ever brought it back up.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead. Yeah.
And I said to them, sorry about that. I had to cut that off. I forget.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's a great idea. We have people from all over the globe here in the Bahamas, all over. And we've had people, how I know that is that we used to have a food setting here in October, whereby that we would basically have people from all the different Caribbean, from wherever you're from, and you would see, they would serve food culture.
The food festival.
Yes.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
And I remember when that started, you had roughly about 10.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that the last time we had close to about 60.
60. Yeah.
So I said, if you got all of this, why not set up a separate national insurance card with a different color? While they're here, that means they have to pay for a work permit, they have to pay for permanent residence. And so with them, they can contribute to national insurance. So if anything happens to them, at least they'll have something they can go and qualify for.
Right.
And I said, if we do all of these things and put these things in place, it will be better. Also, I listened and I thought about what the Minister of Education was saying about the cruise port.
The cruise port.
And
Yeah.
the cruise dock.
That's an interesting topic.
And I said to someone, they just want you to buy ordinary shares. And I said, for the average Bahamian, by the time you do see some of those ordinary shares, you're ready to collect pension.
Yes.
Why not give Bahamians that same opportunity you give these investors or elites in our country, profitable shares? Offer them to the average Bahamian. Someone said, "Oh, well, they'll buy them." I said, "No, you can cap." And then this somebody try to explain to me. A government can put a policy in place and say, "Look here, Mr. Simonet, we know you have the money, but we want to have it spread around there. The average Joe be able to have that same opportunity. He might not be able to buy 70 to 100 or 200 shares, profitable shares, but if he could set it at a rate where he could buy 110, 120,
Yeah.
he gets the same payout as you would get.
As
if
we
you
would
get
get
that. And I say, this is how you think of progressing. It's funny when you hear this administration talks about progressive,
Right.
and you look at the things they're doing, it's like, is this progressive or regressive?
You have to ask that question because is it benefiting the majority of your people?
No, it isn't.
That's
And
right.
so all of these things, and it's like, when are we gonna now look at our country and say, listen, nothing's wrong with you as an individual, but we got to now harness some of this power that you all have been receiving and getting.
That's right.
Like the former prime minister was saying, "Oh, well, I believe in 2 terms." I said,
Right.
okay, it's a great thing for the country because it enhances democracy. So it doesn't have to be on one person you rely on, because once you don't do your 2 terms in office, means now the party will have to basically look at itself, and personalities can now put themselves forward. So now you don't have to rely on a group of senior personnel to decide or become. You gotta look at your country and see the landscape. Your country is getting younger, and so you have to have people who are now tech savvy, middle age. If you notice, the other day in the United States,
Mhm.
for the first time in the history of the United States, they have a VP who's a millennial.
He's under the age of 40.
Yeah. And so,
Okay. I got to bring Brother Highland because I know he's edging to say a lot. Brother Highland, I want to get you on this conversation. Brother Cartwright, he could go till Christ come back.
Oh,
Stuff like me. Okay, go ahead, Brother Highland.
As Brother Cartwright spoke,
Yes.
the public probably gonna start to see us as good cop, bad cop, because as he spoke,
Yes.
is so enlightening and
It
full of
is,
hope.
very
the,
much
the,
so,
the
yes.
potential
Yes.
of what could be done
What could be done? Yes.
and what is happening in other places.
Yes, sir.
We have best practices
Yes.
that we see in other jurisdictions.
Right.
We see the standards. We see what it's doing for the people. At the same time, what is it doing for us?
That's a good
So,
question.
so here comes the good cop, bad cop. Cartwright is the good cop, just in case everybody that don't understand what's happening here.
Yes.
Because in other jurisdictions, they have enacted the Sovereign Wealth Fund.
Yes, they have.
We set ours up and then we take it down. When I say
That's
take
what
it down,
happened.
it was announced that we would go in the direction of an investment fund.
Yes.
So now we have a national investment fund. And here's the difference, because it has been explained what is intended for. If any natural resources, whether it be carbon credits or anything, will go into the national investment fund.
Right.
And now we will have money for infrastructure and government projects. You see what's happening?
Yeah. I see
Money
what you're talking about.
directed away from the people
Directed from
and
the people.
into more questionable contracts.
Right.
Man, baby, people, man, come on, man. We
No,
gotta
do
we
better
gotta
than
wake
that.
up. We
You have
gotta
to
wake up, man.
quickly. Very much so. It's important that Bahamian people wake up to see what the government of Bahamas is doing to us right now.
Music I hear playing in the back of my mind right now. What is it? You get swing, you get swing.
Yes.
That's what some of these parties need to play to their campaign when election time come.
Yes.
Let the people know they can get swing.
Yeah.
That's what's happening over and over and over again. So
Yes.
We need something different. We need to stand up against the wrongs that are happening.
Right. Now, that is why I made a proposal to the Bahamian people, because we just see the way how I see it right now, we are sliding deep into oblivion. We are about to lose our country if we don't take decisive action as to what is happening. We have too many burdens and problems that afflict the people, and we have not done our homework. We have not kept tabs on the government of the Bahamas for the last 51 years. They've been allowed to get away with too much. We never corrected them and told them when they went off course. Now, the people can't keep saying, well, we didn't know. You're beginning to learn now. And you have been for a little while. Now it's time to take action. You can't just keep sitting back and just allowing these very same personalities who have all this power, there's plenty of power they got, handling billions of dollars of the people's money. And how are we benefiting?
Can I interject right there momentarily?
Yes, sir,
Just
ahead.
momentarily.
Yes, sir.
Professor, the Bahamian people may take this as a joke. The prime minister in the Bahamas has more power than the king in Great Britain.
I'm not going to disagree with that. I'm glad you brought that up.
I will go a little bit further.
Okay.
But it got
The
right.
prime minister of the Bahamas
Mhm.
is a constitutional dictator.
Okay. Then.
I'm not going to disagree with that either.
And, I've heard people say to me, well, we need to change the constitution, bring in a different style of governance. And I said to them, if you lined up whatever form of constitution you want to put in place, as long as you give ultimate power to the leader, it doesn't care what type of governance you have, because it'll be the same result.
It'll be the same result. That is
Okay.
correct.
See,
Mhm.
one of the things that you always say, Professor, and I don't think most Bahamians understand it yet,
Yes.
your MP is your representative.
Right.
He has to now separate his party politics from
Parliamentary
his
representation. Yes.
And a lot of our MPs do not know how to separate those
No,
things.
they don't. And that hasn't happened yet in
No.
51 years.
Well, see, again,
But I'm going to elaborate on that. I'm going to let Brother
and I'm
Howard-
going to be as quick as possible.
Yeah, go ahead. Take your time.
Well, see, the thing is, Cartwright is really hopeful again, right? In terms of saying a lot of them don't know how to. Is it that they don't know how to, or they choose not to for their personal benefit? Or look at what has happened in the past. When individuals stand up for the people and stand up for what is right, they get sit down in the corner. What does that tell you about the party?
Who sits them down?
The
in
leader
corner?
of the party.
Okay, let's look at it this way.
Mhm.
How does one become the prime minister? Brother Cartwright, would you tell us how one becomes prime minister?
The prime minister, which I think a lot of people don't realize, is a person who's elected out of the majority
Mhm.
with who they decide is best amongst them to serve, to lead. But what I've seen over the past is that a lot of these personalities keeps thinking that, because I'm the leader of the party, that I becomes the prime minister. And I always tell you, the Constitution never says the leader of a party who wins the election becomes the prime minister. Because here's we've seen, what if you the leader of the party and you lost your seat, but you have your party won a majority? So can you become prime minister? No. So the first thing is the prime minister must be elected from those elected in parliament.
That's correct.
And so those in the majority decides who should lead. So
Yes.
it doesn't mean that you have to. We've had an incident where we've seen personalities were deputy leaders, and
Yes.
then you saw once their party got into power, they had a short stint as a deputy leader in the government where they would move away and put someone replace them.
Yes.
And so one of the things that I always say to people is this. I agree with Brother Hyla. Yes, I'm hopeful. But what I found out too is that playbook what they've been using in Parliament,
Yes.
if you take that playbook and you question them on it, they don't know.
Yes.
I had a former sitting minister. I listened to him on a talk show. And the person called him on the question of immigration. And he was a former minister of immigration.
Yes, he was.
And he was lost.
Completely lost.
With the citizenship, he asked him specifically about Article 54.
Yes.
And he said it out his mouth, Brother Hyla.
Mm.
I got to look this up.
Now that's crap.
I got to look it up. And I was like, but you were the minister.
Okay.
So what is happening is that A lot of these guys have been put in position,
Yes.
and they don't have a playbook or understanding what their role is, what the Constitution is. And if you listen to many of these personalities in Parliament, when they speak, they first thing they get up. I rise on my feet to speak for the good people. That's like,
Yes. What good people.
you ain't never speak to me. You
And
ain't
then they not speak to me either.
You ain't coming around and answering
Yeah.
my ideas.
Okay,
so you
that's
can-
correct. Yeah.
See,
Yeah.
because I always tell people this. I would like anyone who is elected, and this is something I tell people from day one.
Mhm.
The day that an election is held in this country and a party is won, and they say this is going to now move towards, this is going to be a new government, I said, okay, you only got one government.
That's correct.
Only one government. I said, I want them to succeed because why? If they succeed, we the people succeed.
Yes.
And I always try to say to them, a heads up, do not do what you see with the mistakes that your predecessor do. Take the good that he do and you build on it. And for some reason, we keep hearing them, give me another chance. I ain't finished what I started. I always tell people this. If you started something good in your first 5 years, people will reward you because at least they see you making progress. But if you do nothing and then telling me that you're going to build on something in the next 5, but you might be Houdini, but I don't believe in Santa Claus nor the fairy tooth.
That's right.
So these are the things that I've been trying to speak to members of the parliament and say, listen, man, you all are forgetting who sent you
Who's that new
to
head?
parliament.
Yes, that's correct.
You all need to go back and look back in the archives of the early days of the Sir Lyndon's government. Even look at parts of the Sir Rowland's government. Look at the good
Yes.
things they did, and you built on it.
Yes, you build on that. Yes.
And you move forward. And see, when you do things and you show people that, hey, yes, they can see it, people can feel it. We talked yesterday about the summertime around here. We used to have Gombe summer.
Oh, yes.
We used to have the
That
people
was
to
the big
people.
thing. People to people. That going out the window.
Yeah, all of these things that were good things,
Yes.
we throw them away.
Right.
And so now what we have done is that we are now having the hotels tell the guests what a Bahamian is. If you
That's
walk
right.
down Bay Street, I was talking about it the other day, and I just came down and I look at Bay Street. I've seen Indians. I have no problem with them. I've seen Haitians, Jamaicans. But I said, oh, we're the Bahamian.
We're the Bahamian. Yes.
We have now, as an administration, whether they notice it or whether they pretend they didn't notice it, but you are now putting retrenchification of the Bahamians, the organic Bahamian.
Yes.
And that is something will not sit well in the future because
No, it will not.
as generation comes, you got to understand, and I tell people this over and over, I listen to my younger cousins, I listen to my young nephews, and they always said, oh, in your days, you all were the Joshuas. You all were the ones who basically were passive. He said, but this Caleb generation, they ain't taking nothing for granted. And if you get in our way, we will move you. And if you look at the ways, and I cracked them and I said, when I was a young man, fellas used to rob the bank with a stick underneath his shirt.
Yeah.
He said, Uncle boy, he tried it today, he get cut down. So you see the generation, and we don't notice it, we don't want to notice it. But if you look at the way this country is moving, you look at the violence,
Yes.
you look at all of the things that basically, which was never a part of our nature.
No, never part of our nature.
We are
That's
now
correct.
becoming a melting pot of different cultures,
Yes.
and it's now being displayed in our society.
That is correct.
And people now noticing it.
Yes.
But the problem is those who are in charge seems to be,
Oblivious.
I would, you could say that, but I would say living in another world.
All right then.
Yeah,
But
they're not living amongst us.
Okay. All
Well,
right.
they say the numbers up. Crime is down and the numbers up.
Yeah.
The economy is good. This is what they're saying.
But for who? Who's it good for?
This is what they're coming into Parliament and saying. The tourism numbers are up. We on schedule to have 1 million a month.
Okay.
If the numbers hold. So, and the thing about it is, the numbers we don't hear is 44% decrease in export products.
Now we need to look at that.
That's catastrophic.
We need to look at
Then
that.
you're talking about roughly half less exports, whether it's fisheries, precious metals,
Yeah.
cattle,
Half of that
fuel.
It's not
Eh,
going.
Why that's something to stop and talk about
Yes.
and get to the
yes, it
bottom
is.
of.
Yes, you have to.
You don't wait till the next budget. I'm just saying, what we only hear certain numbers. Why we don't hear these other numbers?
Okay.
And before you came in, God, right? We did have some breaking news in terms of the U.S. State Department having to come out and basically call out or criticize um, the Bahamian government for not fully enacting the Freedom of Information Act and not having an integrity commission. The very same thing we're talking about on this show. And I just gotta say to Global and the team here at Express Yourself, we right on.
Yes,
We
we are.
right on it, and nobody contesting what is being said.
Yes.
So any sponsors, businesses, or individuals, let's come together. Let's work together, and,
No, we have to.
let's try right this ship, man. Because those who in power then look like they into doing nothing different than what they're
Yeah.
doing.
I hear the music in the
Yeah.
background. The man
Yeah.
wanted me to shut up. This is Professor Sidney MacArthur, Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network. I'm delighted to have two special guests here. This is Open Line Friday, Bahamians. Do not forget that. We want to discuss anything. I hear nobody call about Donald Trump. I hear nobody call about Biden. But we're going to get into that a little later in the show. This is Professor Sidney MacArthur, Walter Thompson. We're going to go to a break. We have Brother Cartwright. We have Brother Hiley here. And of course, they have their views on a whole range of things. But the lines are wide open 326-0271, 813-0271. I remember that one. 813-0271, 326-0271, 326-0272. We'll be back after the break.
You make us your first
From
stop.
East Street to Blue Hill Road, it's your chance to join the discussion of today's issue. Let your voice be heard. Speak your mind and express yourself here. Call in and participate at 326-0271 or 326-0272. WhatsApp us your concerns on 809-2310. Follow us live on Facebook and globalradio99.5fm.com. Express yourself.
This is Professor Sidney MacArthur Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network 99.5 FM. We're having such an interesting discussion on this radio station today. All kinds of things on the table. Wow, that's what Open Line does on a Friday. We have a call on the line. Caller, you live on air. Go ahead, please.
Good afternoon, Sydney, Walter MacArthur Thompson, and to your esteemed guest,
Yes, sir. Thank you.
presently who is with you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Brother Thompson, so much has been said that is mind-boggling. Brother Thompson, we need to have our government called out immediately for the lack of not protesting against the invasion of the Russian warships
Oh, yes. I'm
in
glad you
our
brought that
waters.
up.
Mhm.
There has been not one
Yes.
diplomatic note sent abroad telling about our fears, and the matter of fact that we are squeezed in a vice.
Okay.
With those nuclear weapons, Brother Thompson, what will happen? What if there is an accident?
Mhm.
That's a possibility, yes.
And what will happen to us?
Good question.
No, that our government is not speaking for us. They're more concerned about what is happening in Haiti, etc., Kenya, the rest of the place.
Yes.
But once again, we must now purge the system. Purge the system. We must follow the laws of the land.
Yes, sir.
The law is there, Brother Thompson, and we are not adhering to the law of the land.
Okay.
We are skirmishing from it. We're not upholding it, and we don't seem to want to project it.
Okay.
What do you expect from our younger people in this country? How would you expect them to behave? Do you want all of them to pick up firearms and just kill somebody? That's not in my line, like Professor Thompson.
Mhm.
But we have to do better. And your guests, they are right. But let us assemble. For example, let us assemble police, customs, immigration, and whomever. Those are our border patrols, and they should have the right to stop anybody, anywhere, anytime, and ask for an identification.
Yes.
Do you realize, Professor, that, for example, I must send a note to the Americans, stop from dropping off people who do not have, they're not the Hamans. They just dump them off and leave them. They don't even have an identity as to who they are.
So let me understand you, caller, because I'm glad you mentioned this. Let me see if I could get this clear. Are you saying that the Americans are dropping off personalities on our islands without the permission without clearing permission from the authorities? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying the Americans arrest them in America, and because they do not have any identification as to who they are sent back here.
So are you saying the government is accepting them?
Yeah, well, they are. They're here.
Okay.
Could
all
I,
right.
could I could I interject?
Go ahead, brother.
Right there,
Go
caller. I just wanted to confirm, caller, that maybe about 2 weeks ago, we did state on this show that it was strange that in the U.S. media it was reported that yes, the U.S. Coast Guard was carrying out what they were calling Operation vigilant sentry or vigilant soldier, 61 days of heightened Coast Guard activity. And it would only be our opinion. I have to be realistic and say it's only our opinion
Yes.
that it's because of the low level of activity on behalf of the Bahamian government that the U.S. government had to conduct a high level of
Okay.
activity out on the seas for 61 days. And they were gathering up persons each week. They were collecting hundreds and hundreds of persons. And I just wanted to confirm what you were saying, because even the U.S. Coast Guard news, we read from their news, they are dropping individuals off in the Bahamas.
Right. See,
That is factual.
Okay. Caller, stay on the line. See, what I'm trying to get is,
Mhm.
and but I call Cartwright, you can get on this too. What I'm trying to get is the government of the Bahamas accepting them? That's one. Or two, are the Americans just dumping them in the Bahamas without the permission of the government? Can anyone clear that up?
Here's the thing.
Let the
US
call, hold on. Let the caller answer that. Caller, do you know anything about that?
Brother Thompson.
You heard what I
Once
just
you-
asked,
once
right?
Once you have been rounded up in America, and you say, "Well, I'm from the Bahamas," you put on a flight, and you sent here.
No, what I'm asking is, see, don't miss my point now, because this is very important. You said they're being sent here, fine.
Yes.
I am saying, and Brother Cartwright and Hal, you could get in on this too. Is the government of Bahamas accepting them, yes or no? Or are they just dumping them here without the permission of the government?
No, the
Yeah.
Bahamas
The
government,
government
they
of
call up.
Bahamas have to accept them.
Yes, the Bahamas
No, but
government.
he's saying, hold on,
Yeah.
he's saying the Bahamas government has to accept them. See,
Yeah.
I have a difficulty with that. Go ahead, Brother.
Yes, the U.S. government has a policy whereby that when you enter their country illegally, or if you commit a crime, you are deported back to the port of entry that you left to come to the U.S. So what has happened for us is that the U.S. said, okay, you commit a crime, like the caller said, or you entered the United States illegally. Where did you come from? And then there's action. You don't have no proof. They say, well, he came from the U.S. Bahamas. Our government has now dropped the ball for years by just accepting, because it's like, how do you know these
What
people
kind of
are living?
nonsense is this, man?
Where are their IDs? They don't even check for IDs. Then they said, I've known it because I've had family members who works with the U.S.
Yes.
and they say, guys, how you all could keep accepting people? You all even find out when these people are about to be released, you all just sit back and just accept them.
Caller, you have anything else to add?
I would simply add, Professor, that there is a gym off Shirley Street that where a number of these individuals assembled. You can go there and check it out.
Okay. Well, thank you very
And
much for
that's
your.
all I have to say, and I would like to say to all of you, I want to thank you, but we must be more vigilant. We must allow our border patrol to stop anybody anywhere and question them for identifications. And we have to begin to purge members of our various units and
Yes.
simply allow the law to take its course.
Thank you
Who
very
do
much.
we? Huh?
Yeah, you made a good point. Now I have a little bit more clarity in my head now. But thank you very much, Caller. I think you made a very valid point. Thank you for your contribution.
Professor,
Brother Cartwright,
I
go ahead.
reflect back on the time I was working with a friend of mine on a fishing boat,
Yes.
and the Coast Guard flagged us to stop in Bahamian waters.
The Coast Guard?
Yeah.
And you in Bahamian waters?
The first person on board the boat was a U.S. Coast Guard. So I questioned him. I said, bro, what authority you have to be aboard this boat? Before you come on board this boat, you must have a defense force officer first.
Exactly. Oh, we're going to get back to that. I think we have a call, and I'm Mr. Producer saying I have a call. Caller, you're live on air. Go ahead, please.
So Sydney, Cartwright, and Hyla.
Good day.
Good
Good
day.
day, sir.
Boy, the worst cut up I got as a youth growing up in high school was from Mr. Hyla, but I'm glad he did a good job on me. So Sydney, have you connected the dots here that these men are getting caught and shoot up with marijuana stacks of in their car, but the guys who
Yes.
shoot them up for the marijuana ain't carrying the marijuana.
Now that's an interesting point that you brought
No, but
up.
you know the reason behind that. Let me just dig a little deeper because I don't have to take too long. All right.
Go ahead,
Um,
caller.
the thing is, we have this ankle bracelet technology, and it appears to be only be used to locate where you are by certain individuals. Because if I leave my house, I should get a phone call from my house saying you were under house arrest or you were under some area arrest. You need to get back in your zone. You don't get that call, so it's probably being used to just determine where you are. And when you look at the fact now that we have a senior official being charged, maybe he need to get rid of some persons. I could go a little deeper, but you all have a nice day.
Well, thank you, caller.
that's
Thank
very
you, caller.
serious.
Yeah.
Very serious.
And it's a very, very serious situation.
You know,
Yeah, Brother Cartwright, go ahead.
you know,
please.
it's sad because early this morning, talking with some people, and it's like,
Mhm.
you realize that we've had 4 murders. 4 murders.
Yeah. In like a 24-hour period.
Even
That's-
ain't quite 24 hours.
yeah, less. Very serious.
We have a call on the line.
Yeah.
Call you live on there. Go ahead,
But
please.
it said,
Yes.
I forgot to tell you this information.
Okay.
It's alleged, you know, Bahama is run from Haiti,
Oh,
from
yes.
Nassau to Haiti, right?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. And up in Haiti, they got the Haitian agent on to death. Now, when the Haitian people send the face cream down to Nassau on Bahama Air.
Okay.
Now, the agent get the money for the package, but Bahama Air Direct is not getting the money. You following me?
Okay.
You following me?
Make it a little clearer for me, because I think I might have lost you.
Okay. Yes, just say then. I live in Auckland,
Yes.
right?
Okay.
Hello?
Yeah, I'm listening. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I
caller.
live in Auckland.
Yes.
Now I want to send down some things to you in Nassau.
Right.
Okay? I know the agent in Auckland for Bahama Air. I will pay them. But when Bahama Air come, they just put my stuff on. But it's not, the money is not going direct to Bahama Air.
Okay.
So when it come down to Nassau, I call you and say, to stop reach.
Okay.
Then you will go down to the airport and just go and pick up these things and show, you mind, and just show the custom officer what you come for.
Okay.
You understand me?
Yes, sir.
It's like a rocket that is going on down there. You understand me now?
Yes, sir.
So, because this face cream that come from Haiti, is a lot of these things come from there, and they send them down through. They send them back on the plane, Bahama Air. They send them back on Bahama Air, and when they come through custom and stuff like that, and they just go in there, just pick up, and you see.
Yes, sir.
So I don't know. Somebody who worked down there, they briefed me up with that and stuff like that, because they know I talk to you. You see?
Yes, sir. I appreciate
Yeah.
that. Yes, sir.
Okay then.
Okay. Thank you very much. Brother Ali, you want to comment on that?
Oh, correct.
Cartwright, yeah.
But here's what I
Cartwright,
would say to
yeah.
that caller, right?
Uh-huh.
And he's on to something because we're just seeing where the government is now trying to, I don't know if they implemented, to have an intermediary collect custom duties for the government, whereby, and I was like, why would you want somebody be an intermediary to collecting money that is for the government?
Right.
You don't need a third party collecting government money.
But that doesn't make any sense.
The-
So you mean to tell me they can't trust the customs officers?
Well, the thing is this, Professor. You set policies. You don't need to add another layer of a policy where you now passing on your duty in governance.
That's
on
another
to some-
problem. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
And so
yeah.
when you look
Yeah.
at this, it is becoming frustrating in the country. We're now looking at where the PM went to the UK with a legal team to speak on the Grand Bahama Port
Right, the
Authority.
Bahama Port Authority. yeah.
And I always said sometimes you could take a step back before you comment. You know, people say, "Oh, well, they need to check, get rid of it." But I said, "Okay, calm down. Let's do this. Let's have a comment." You remember before the name became Linden Airport?
Yes,
You remember all the problems we had at that airport,
plenty problems.
and what we had to do? We had to bring in a private entity who was reputable in managing airports to straighten that mess out at the Linden Airport.
That's correct.
Since we've had that, they manage that. You go to that airport, everything runs smoothly. You don't go in that airport if you ain't got no purpose to be in there. That's how they run. It's a business. I had mentioned it to someone in the government. I said, you know what? And some friends of mine at the previous government. These guys are doing such a marvelous job. Why not take all of our airports, put it under that umbrella, let them train the Bahamians,
Layman's, yes.
let them go back into the islands where they live and operate, and you can always now have the younger people in that islands and these islands who are aspiring, looking for work.
Yes,
It's a chance for them to move into.
of course.
There's so many things, and going back. So when I thought about the Port Authority, and I was like, okay, the government of the Bahamas is our country.
Right.
Grand Bahama Port Authority is a private entity.
Yes.
I would have thought that the government of the Bahamas, when they looked at that agreement, and said, you know what? Since you have been doing this part in Freeport, here's what we're going to do. You're going to now manage this whole island of Grand Bahama. Whatever taxes you collect, whatever you do, we will now subsidize you to collect, and we get a portion of it.
Okay.
So you get a portion, and we get a portion. So now, when you look at Grand Bahama, if you go outside of Freeport, you go west end, it looks like you're back in the 60s.
That's true.
If you go east end, it's the same thing.
Yes.
And so when you have an entity, and then you set the rules so that if they feel that, oh, we can do, no, these are the new rules that we can operate under. You will have this contract where you manage it for us.
That's
We will
right.
now collect all the fees, we give you a portion back, and we get the higher share.
Right.
There's so many things that are much easier to manage, because what I've seen is that the government of the Bahamas tends to be trying to, you have a contract with these individuals. Now you're trying to muscle them out of your contract.
Right.
That ain't the way you govern. For instance, I also see where the prime minister been to Africa attending summits.
Yes.
And I'm like, man, you travel to Africa all this time, but what you bringing back first?
That's a good question.
We've had the African XM Bank, which is an import-export
Export
bank.
bank, yes.
Recently had a meeting here, a conclave, first time outside of
Outside.
Africa,
Yeah,
the continent
that's
of
right.
Africa.
Right.
And I said, wow, these guys, Africa is east of the Bahamas. You cross the Atlantic, go east, you run into Africa. You also got Europe. I said, well, okay, why can't we sit down, find someone who can build us a container port, and we could set it up in Meguana.
Of course.
We could now become the Panama of the East,
That's right.
operated by Bahamians. And here's the difference. Instead of selling me common shares, which don't really pay out much, offer preferable shares to Bahamians. You can cap all of your rich Bahamians and say, you only could buy 100 shares until every Bahamian get the other shares, and whatever's left, we will then turn around and we will increase it, let you buy another 10. But we will still hold you from buying all of the shares, because we want to basically create, we want to develop, we want to have, not everybody wants to work for government.
That is true.
So if I could take a few dollars that I have while I'm working and I bought 10, 20, or 100 profitable shares, while I'm working, those shares are turning over, the profit, I get a higher return
Of
than if
course.
I on my common shares.
On your common shares.
So
That's
now
correct. Yes.
I am now having this money sent to my bank. And then what I would be doing, I would now open my bank accounts in Bahamian banks.
Yes.
And the reason why is this. If you go to Jamaica, there's a National Bank of Jamaica. If you go to Trinidad, there's a National Bank of Trinidad. You go to the United States, what they said? Bank of America.
Bank of America.
So
yes.
why are we saying Bank of the Bahamas? We're supposed to be the Bank of the Bahamas. But we still doing most of the government line share between Royal Bank.
Bank. That's a good question.
Right.
And so those
That's a
guys
good
do not
question.
feel that they are empowered to basically provide better service to the locals because they're doing business directly with your government.
Yes.
So they don't care about you. And so I always tell people, shift the balance where now, you now as a government do business with the Bahamian banks, the Bahamian credit unions.
Yeah.
You would then force and you would now make those foreign entities come and adjust to the new playing field that they have to abide by.
Right.
Instead of them telling it dictating,
Right.
they will have to conform.
Definitely.
And that is where we've been going. See, I don't have a problem with the Prime Minister going to Africa, you know.
Okay.
My thing is this, Africa, I've been talking to friends of mine who have business in Africa. They said, Africa is the new mecca for business. Just like Chinese said, the Chinese have been going to Africa. Now, Africans now understand their way of thinking. So the Chinese say, the Africans say, hold on, man, relax. I've had friends of mine say, man, we are turned off by the Americans.
Yes.
He said, why haven't you seen Bahamians? I said, boy, I don't know. He said, man, this is a right place if you're serious. I said, okay, but why not look at it this way? We could become the hub from goods and service coming out of Africa and Europe that is being displaced to the rest of the region.
Right.
Why should we have a confusion? Well, okay, you got, I said, goods come from China. Goods come from our, goes to Panama, from Panama, goes to port in Los Angeles. From the port of Los Angeles, comes through Freeport, then goes back into Florida, then comes back into the Bahamas.
That do make sense.
So we could turn around, and this is very lucrative because here's the thing. If you got a container port in Maguana that's servicing everything coming out of Africa and the rest of this region, you're looking at $1 trillion operation. What do you think that do for your national debt? Cuts it down.
Cuts it down.
They said, I spoke with the Minister of Immigration, and I said to him, I said, Minister, this stuff you guys doing with just looking at collecting this money. And I said, I remember the former Minister of Immigration, Mr. Simley, was like, he said in a statement in Parliament one time that how much money they made of granting work permits and so I said, interesting. I said, so why we can't make all non-Bahamians who want, if they just want to reside,
Right.
you pay a fee. If you want to reside and work, you pay
You pay
another
another
fee.
fee. Yes.
That's only for you as an individual. Now you're talking with your family, we can adjust the price whereby I said, okay, this is what it's going to cost you to be. So if a fellow realizes, boy, I got to spend $20,000, $30,000 in Bahamas, he's going to be more vigilant to do what he has to do.
Yes, he would. I believe I'm hearing the music. Brother Hyler, let me get you in quickly before we close out.
Well, I'll defer to one of the Facebook comments.
Yes.
Young lady say nothing the government doing making any sense.
Boy, this is really something. No, a whole lot of things
I
happening.
can't make nothing they doing make sense, but our prayers go out to
Yeah,
the Prime
the
Minister
Prime Minister, yes.
with his health challenge, and we
Yes.
really want the best for him
For him, yes.
to pull through and
Right.
regain his full health.
Right. Well, thank you, gentlemen, for coming. We've had an interesting discussion today on Open Line, and I hope we can do this next week, Friday, when we come again. And of course, Monday is Constitution Day. That's when I will talk about the Constitution on Monday. Bahamians have a very pleasant evening. I'm sorry to hear we had such a bad night last night, but we got to behave ourselves, Bahamians. Let's learn to get along with each other and have proper discussions and not be so quick to destroy and hurt other people. This has been Professor Sidney MacArthur Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network on Express Yourself. Have a very pleasant afternoon and a pleasant weekend.